What's up everybody, it's Speed here, and today I want to talk about why I think Vici Gaming is most likely going to win the Major. Now, obviously this isn't a guarantee, I have no idea. Alliance is a great team as well, and I'm making this before Alliance and Vici Gaming finish their series, so I actually have no idea who wins that up until this point. Regardless though, it's going to be a really fun Major. Hopefully you guys are excited as I am. If you are, like the video and subscribe to the channel to help us out, and let's get into it. This pro guide you're about to see is one of hundreds, just like it, over at gameleap.com. GameLeap is your #1 stop to become a specialist in your desired role fast. Check us out today with the discount link in the description below to unlock your hidden potential, but for now, let's hop into the video. So I really want to pick this game because I thought it was pretty funny, right? There's this really interesting example where Team Spirit actually goes for this really bizarre opener. As we skip through here, pretty standard bans, just a lot of the top meta heroes. Vici Gaming takes Chen, the best hero in competitive Dota right now, at least in my opinion. And I think that's a fact to a lot of the high MMR players in Dota right now, just because this hero's utility is broken. I'll explain it in a bit. Just to talk about the draft, I really like this opener. I think Chen and Shadow Demon are two of the best heroes in Dota. I really like Shadow Demon against Lich because your ultimate purges the Frost Shield, and I know that can sound like it doesn't really matter. Yes, I think the biggest part of Lich's kit is actually his Frost Shield, so being able to just ulti someone and prevent that from continuously protecting them is actually a very big deal and a big win. Lich Tiny though, this has been a combo for a while. Basically, the idea behind it is you slow into toss back, and it's a lot of damage. In addition, you have a ton of burst damage in team fights. If you hit a good avalanche, and you can toss two people together, when you toss two people together, they get chain frosted, big damage, big money. It's actually like insane how much damage Tiny and Lich can do together. It's probably like over 2,000 damage magical combined. But then I think the weirdest part here, I believe is this pick, if I'm not mistaken. Team Spirit just goes for Slark. Like, no good reason, they just pick Slark. I mean, I guess the reason would be that Chen doesn't provide much control, Shadow Demon doesn't provide much control, and they have a Lich, which is good in lane with Slark, right? Slows and sustain, or like the Frost Shield, which gives Slark essentially effective HP, is good in lane. It's a very strong lane, but it just seems weird to pick it like that, considering that you can still flex these heroes. In fact, I believe 33 on Alliance played Chen off lane. Yes, I'm not kidding, I might make a video on it because it's just broken, but then Vici Gaming goes for these next two picks, which I just think really make the Slark feel kind of weird, which is a Sanking Leshrac, right? And then, once again, Team Spirit, like, I think they were just trying to overwhelm Vici to some extent, like, pick these really immobile cores that are hard to kill because, like, of the lack of catch from Shadow Demon and Chen. But this next pick from Vici Gaming is Leshrac, and it kind of just, if you have Leshrac with Sanking or Shadow Demon, you're killing them, right? You're killing Slark or Timber. Not 100%, right? Timber can actually live through that. Maybe Slark can too, depending on how it's executed. But it's just so weird to me, this Team Spirit draft. Like, I kind of understand why they're going for this based on these two picks, but like, now Vici Gaming just finishes it up with this Morphling pick, which seems kind of sketch. But the thing about it is that they know that the enemy offlane is pretty weak, right? It's either a Timber Saw or just some like last pick. I mean, I guess they could have last picked here, but they went for Invoker instead. In general, it's just a really weird tricore to have, in my opinion. I feel like it doesn't like do anything together. Maybe it can play really fast and Timber can defend towers while the other two cores farm, but in general, I don't know. They don't have now the lane to pressure the Morphling because, you know, Timber Tiny doesn't do that much, especially not when a Morphling is being sustained by a Chen and when those heroes are getting zoned by a Chen. So yeah, I kind of felt like just from draft, this game's really hard. I just think Vici's heroes are better. Not that like Team Spirit can't win. Of course, you can win with anything. But yeah, let's break it down and kind of figure out why Vici Gaming is actually so successful in this game. Now, first things first, I just want to talk about Morphling briefly because I think people pick this hero, they get dumpstered in lane, and then they're like, why do I play Morphling? You have to make sure you have a good lane, which is what I kind of stressed in the draft there. But there's a couple heroes you can pick it with. I recommend picking it with Abaddon in lane if you have an Abba 5. Undying is really good. Jakiro's pretty good. Bane, Chen, Warlock. Any of these sustain heroes that can give you a much better laning stage are very crucial for Morphling. Otherwise, this hero can be pretty brutal to play because you have 360 HP. In addition, you only have a 1 shift rate and 1 bonus strength. It's quite abysmal. Until you hit level 3, this hero is very bad in lane. Very bad. However, you do have pretty high damage, right? 63. And if he's standing next to Chen, which he will be now, and Chen also has the headdress and he hasn't leveled up to Find Favor yet, right? So we're going to see in a second why this is actually so broken and why Chen is just really strong. In a second, hopefully he'll level it up. Come on, Chen. So you see it here. This really interesting play. Oh, that's fascinating, actually. Sorry, I was going to skip over it, guys, but a little cool play here from the Chen. So they actually show the Shadow Demon top, right? Shadow Demon clearly shows. Gets the Bounty Rune, but then is instantly pulled bottom for this quick little lane swap here. And why is this important? I think the cool thing about this is now that Shadow Demon has been pulled to bottom, he can start bottom lane, secure the Morphling a good start, right? Which is pretty crucial for the hero. As I mentioned before, Morphling needs a good start, so they're going to secure him a good start by sitting PYW bottom, right? And if PYW doesn't like this lane, easy money. It's easy money. He can just TP back top because of the Chen recall. Nice Shadow Poison, noob. No, I'm kidding, but obviously I just think this is a good play. The Timber is forced to TP back, which is fairly bad for the Timber. Luckily, his wave is sort of getting pushed in. I believe he did the block the creep strat, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually curious. This is really important, guys. We'll check it out. Oh no, they clipped the range creep. Okay, that's why. So if you guys didn't know, you could do that. There you go. You can clip range creeps, which actually helps someone like Timber in lane a lot. But yeah, I think this maneuver from Vici Gaming is the reason why they can get away with this Morphling pick, which some players don't understand. You have to be able to be willing to commit specific resources to actually win certain lanes. And that's exactly what they do, right? They go for a tri lane when they have to give their Morphling a tri lane. And just things like this and that coordination with the Chen, I really like seeing that from these teams, right? I feel like it just shows this level of coordination or teamwork or pre-planning that allows you to win these, these tournaments. Really nice D-ward. And at this point, right, just to go back to the Morphling, this hero that usually has like 0 regen in lane, all of a sudden just casually is 5.4 without a tango. That's without a tango. Good securing of the range creep. And really, that is why Morphling is so good with Chen. It's really that simple. Low HP pool plus high HP regen is very, very cool. It's very cool. And moving on, talking about the top lane, the reason why I kind of like the Sand King pick for the most part, obviously it's getting Rana here and he actually might die. Oh, he does actually die. The reason why I like the Sand King pick for the most part against the Slark is at some point in the lane, if you get your level 3, get your level 5, you can start just cutting the wave and relax. Yeah, right, you don't really have to do too much, which is a big benefit against the Slark, right? Slark is a hero that naturally wants to brawl, so if you have a hero like Axe or like Sand King, the best way to actually play against the Slark is to avoid him in lane completely, right? Until you hit your spikes, because Slark doesn't necessarily get that much stronger as levels go on. Now, of course, with items he gets much stronger, and with the Essence Shift duration he does, but obviously it depends on the scenario. Yes, if he's building up hits and they last for longer, he's going to be stronger with levels. But compared to someone like Sand King, if Sand King's cutting a wave, it's pretty hard for Slark to just stand inside of a sandstorm. And then a really nice pull here that allows him to take a large camp. But yeah, I like this pick, and I think it's just really nice here, because then they're also going to have the Leshrac to rotate in a bit later, which is obviously just going to dominate the Slark in lane, right? They can just stun it to stun with the Leshrac ulti on, and it's easy money from there. To talk about Chen briefly, just because I wanted to show off why this hero is like just brutally good, another aspect of it is you actually just rush mech without any items, right? You buy nothing besides a stick, and I guess wards, obviously, but it is insane. It is legitimately insane, right? Like, this hero is no joke as they pick up a kill onto the Tiny, but essentially what you do is you take over these creeps that just have like infinite impact. If you get one of the snow ladies or the harpy creep right here, this harpy creep, broken, dude, broken. This harpy creep is broken, right? You're gonna see it in a second here. I mean, the amount of impact you can have with this harpy creep is just, it's legitimately bonkers. I wouldn't be even surprised if he tried to use it onto the Tiny. No, he doesn't. He's actually just gonna jungle. Yeah, another big benefit of Chen as a 5, you can jungle. Like, if you're not needed, your help is not needed, you can jungle. Like, it's so stupid. You can do anything on Chen. Like, let's say that his Morphling needed help right now. He just sends the Harpy to the lane, mana burns the Timber, and shocks him, right? Easy, right? Because if you don't know how much damage this Harpy does, just look at the stats. Look at the spell. It's a 4-second cooldown that costs 50 mana and does 140 damage. 140 damage on a 4-second cooldown, and he can use 8 of them. It's like, how is that balanced? And then you rush this mech, right? As he pulls another hero around the map, which is another big benefit of, just look at this. Look at this. How is this fair, right? Leshrac TP's back to base. I'm sorry, he walks back to base and doesn't even have to commit his TP, right? He just gets recalled by Chen. Now he can TP to a side lane. All of a sudden, this mobility of the Leshrac is so hard to read. And now they get a quick kill onto the Invoker. Easy kill. Into a mid tower, if they could, good TP by Timber saw to delay that. But really, it's just the amount of things you can do on Chen if you understand this hero is so foolish. It's genuinely foolish, and he's gonna get a mech by like the 12-minute mark. And when you get a mech by the 12-minute mark, what ends up happening is the Leshrac almost solo kills everyone. What ends up happening is that your team just has this instant burst of 600 HP with Hand of God, 700 HP in an AOE, and all of a sudden team fights are basically impossible to the point where you can't really kill anyone, right? And it's just so strong, right? He's legitimately wiping through the jungle. I'm going to move on now. I know I'm harping on Chen. I'm just trying to say why this hero is good, even in solo queue, because you can play him like a flash farmer to some extent that just takes over early game team fights. It's unbelievably strong as long as you play him like this. Going back to the Morphling now, he has 69 CS, Pog, in 11 minutes. And I just want to quickly show why, the ways you can be amping your CS. Besides just being good at last hitting, the main things to consider is like what you actually are doing in your downtime, especially when the lanes start to get hard, right? So, you know, Timber is not necessarily a bad matchup for Morphling, especially once he gets off to a good lead like this. But the main idea that he's going to be implying is that of most likely taking camps on the side. At least I would have to imagine. But for the most part, most of it just comes out from good last hitting, guys. And if you're not good at last hitting at this point, you get the Speed bad stamp of approval. You deserve to go down in MMR if you're bad at last hitting. It's just how it goes. But at this point, right, on his way back from the shrine, no time to be wasted, right? Why is this efficient and why do carry players never do this? It actually blows my mind when I'm watching core players in any bracket of MMR that isn't like the highest. And it's like, oh, the lane's not pushed in. Timber's an annoying matchup at this point, right? Lane is here. Timber's going to push in the wave because it's Timber, and they always do, basically. Not guaranteed. Not guaranteed. But instead of just walking to here and trying to contest a Timber, he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to farm a small camp. It's like 70 gold. It's like 2 creeps. And then he can even take this one as well. He's like, I'm just going to wait for Timber to push it in. That's fine. Not going to waste my time. Now he can walk up to the lane. But look, Timber pushes it in. He can chill a bit. He even gets a range creep denied just to be that guy. And obviously Timber's going to annoy him because that's what Timbersaw does. You know, there's not much he can do about that. But imagine if he didn't have that early game efficiency earlier. He would have just wasted a lot of time, that's all, right? Just simply would have wasted a lot of time. And instead, he continued to increase efficiency, unlike most players. And really, that's one main thing you have to do as a carry player to amp your farm. Do not walk back to lane if the lane stinks, right? Take the nearby camps and wait till it gets pushed under your tower. Next up here to talk about Sand King, I'm actually curious why he went this build. I wish I could talk to Yang. He actually bought Tranquil Boots on Sand King, which is not something you see often nowadays. Typically what we're seeing is the Val Rush, where you pick up a Veil of Discord first item with brown boots, and you simply run around and make things happen, right? With you know, your amp damage and such. But really what's important on Sand King to consider, guys, because I watch a lot of offlane players, and they get this wrong, right? They never amp their farm. As an offlane player, just as much as safe lane players, which is why you can pick, like, safe laners in the offlane if you're really low MMR, and you can get away with it, because really the playstyle is just amp farm. Look, brings camps together, flash farms. If you're not doing this, then you're wasting your team's time because frankly he doesn't want to defend mid because he didn't have a TP at the time. So what he's going to do is simply flash farm. Not only that, he's also going to call smoke. Can you believe it, guys? I don't know if you know what this item does, but it actually prevents you from getting seen by wards, right? And as a result, ganks that are typically unreliable become reliable, right? Just for the fact that you can do it from out of vision. Also, he has no points in Caustic and no points in Epi, which I think is good against Slark, because Slark is a hero that you don't want to approach wave in, so Caustic is bad. And then, you know, Epicenter is kind of a weird spell in the early game. Regardless, they set up another easy kill onto the Invoker, and that's what we call Smoke of Deceit, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not using this item, I highly recommend you start, because it is legitimately broken, even in solo queue. Do not tell me it's not. In fact, it is the only way to get people to make moves around the map if communication is bad or people are being toxic. Smoke is the answer to all of your problems. And then once again, guys, can you imagine an offlaner actually taking a neutral camp? Can you believe that an offlaner is farming? Yes, you actually have to farm as an offlaner. However, then the second half is this really, really nice TP, right? So he had a pretty bad lane. He had to buy Tranquil Boots, which I don't think he probably wanted to. But regardless, now with this Timber pushing his bottom tier 2 because he is a Sand King and his team is going to slow down the pace of the game, clearly, right? They're okay with chilling. Also, they have a Chen, so technically they could bring him across the map. Another reason why Chen is just broken, but I've already given my opinion on that. Burley in general, like, you can just see him being able to push in the lane. Even if they try to gank him, I mean, it's going to be a disaster, and they're going to waste the majority of their time. And all of a sudden, this hero that has an 0-2 laning stage is going to get a Blink Dagger around the 14-minute mark, and people ask, like, how do I, when I'm getting dual lane and my team's tri-laning, how do I actually do well as an offlaner? Well, you stay in your lane. When, you know, the opponents leave, you continue farming, you drag creep waves together, and you continue flash farming. Do not stop the pace of the game, otherwise you're going to have some issues. Oh, baby! This is what we call Chen, ladies and gentlemen. He was like, oh, I'm going to TP. Nope. Right click coming in. Yoink. Full heal. Sorry, that's definitely not a full heal. That was not a full heal. The Sunstrike? Oh, come on. How do you not go? All right, he had no points in Exhort. I mean, Chen, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got to say. Chen. Let's go. Let's go, Chen. Moving on, I want to talk about the Shadow Demon's item build. Big fan of this. I do think Aether Lens is a very important item on Shadow Demon if you know you can go down that route. However, because he wants to control the early game and you want to get a lot of Shadow Poison stacks off, right? It's a very strong spell if you can get 5 stacks onto your opponent, as we see another Smoke of Deceit. can't believe they're using this item. I mean, they must be pros or something. Regardless, buying stats, things like Earn, Wand, Bracer is the best way to play these like spammy heroes, right? Even if I'm a Leshrac, if I'm a Leshrac 4, I'm going to want to buy things like Bracers and Wand. Or if I'm a Lina 4, actually Lina is a bit weird because you can play around strictly cast range. But regardless, buying stats and early game items are a really good way as a support player to have a lot of impact in the game so that you can win the early game fights for your team that typically people lose. As he dies. Quick little Leshrac tip for all you potential Leshrac players. Do not skill your ulti at 12. I repeat, do not skill your ulti at 12. If you skill your ulti at 12, it is GG. I'm running down mid in your next game. Right? It doubles in mana per second. It is legitimately unusable if you skill it at 12. Do not skill it. In fact, I don't even think you skill it to like 16. Some people even will hold the point. It goes that far. At this point in the game, I think you can really feel the need to apply tempo from Team Spirit coming out here. Like, they can really feel their window kind of closing out because the enemy team, they have a Morphling and a Leshrac late game, which I believe, in my opinion, outskills a bit. Now, it's a bit weird to say that, right? Because they have like 3 of these potential Giga Cores. But the thing is, it's hard to get farmed on all 3 heroes to some extent, right? Like, that's not always an option to some extent. And not only that, like, Morphling is a Giga Core. It's like one of those like Giga carries. But we see this issue where Team Spirit feels like they need to force the issue. And this is what we talk about, like, in pubs. These are the fights you want to punish. So if you're a core player or you're like a Leshrac or something like that, these are the best possible fights to take, right? Actually, I want to show it from the player perspective of the Leshrac. But it's like, all right, I'm going to come in from the side. And when you're playing like Leshracs and such, and any of these farming cores, I mean, obviously he's getting recalled by Chen because Chen's balanced. But once again, right, these are really good fights to look for. Enemy team overextending, going to go on the Timber Saw. Obviously can't really burst Timber Saw, so that's not an option anymore. Heals himself up, and a pretty easy fight, right? They get the Lich buyback, they get another kill onto the Timber Saw, and those are optimal fights. I just want to make that clear for all you pub players and all you core players. Look for the engagements where the enemy team is diving an objective, diving a shrine, diving a tier 1, whatever it is, right? Especially if it's anywhere around the mid area, these are the best places to defend because it's easy to TP in from multiple different areas. Shrine, left side of mid tower, right side of mid tower, and then also you can transition it right into a Roshan kill. I mean, which is super, super high skill, obviously. I wouldn't expect that to happen in my pubs, and you probably shouldn't expect that to happen in your pubs either. Otherwise, you will mentally go insane. Regardless, hopefully you guys kind of see the point. These are good fights to take, and you really should try to, sort of look at it like that. The next thing I really like about Vici Gaming's play, or the thing I want to talk about, is just their ability to rotate quickly as a team. Here, I don't even believe they smoked, but they're quickly able to just, like, bank off the play of their Leshrac, right? They had no idea that this Slark was going to be a kill. I don't even think they fully knew a fight was going to break out, frankly. But really, what's important to know, in my opinion, is simply just their pure ability to work together, right? You notice, the Purge comes out from the side. They don't group up too hard. That was actually a really good fear from the Lich. It's not going to save him anyway. But, like, that wasn't even a smoke play, and they all of a sudden just rotate 4 heroes. It's actually really, really hard to do that, where, it's not based upon objective, it's not based upon a bounty rune, it's not on a smoke. They just, like, group up and somehow take a fight. That I found impressive, right? Because it's like, how do you know that's going to happen? Because if that doesn't work out and there's no fight happening, you're just walking around, right? And if you're walking around, you're not farming, which it's not too optimal for Dota. Usually you want to be fighting or farming at all times. Walking around is like probably the worst thing to do, especially for cores, right? Supports can be walking around if they need to be warding or getting in position for something, but it all depends. But just that coordination I find very, very impressive, and it's something you should be looking to do if you're on a team, or if you're in pubs, you should be just kind of coordinating to people what movements you actually want to make ahead of time, right? If you're trying to get people to do something, you have to actually tell them 30 seconds in advance. See a lot of people trying to just make a call and then they get triggered when it doesn't instantly happen. Guys, newsflash, you're not playing at TI, you're not also playing at the Chengdu Major, so really it's very important to understand that you're playing in a matchmaking public match, and as a result, make calls early, right? Make calls early to have them be effective, right? Early calls are effective calls. I guess that's going to be my motto from now on. In addition, I want to talk about item timings, right? For this last 2 minutes, I could have shown you a Leshrac farming. I'm not going to because I don't want to bore you to death. But regardless, he has been farming and pushing in waves. Do you understand why? I'm going to give you a good hint. He has a BKB queued up. That's my hint. Hopefully you can figure out why. Oh, you guessed it. It's to get his BKB. Very good. Regardless, guys, when you're a core player, talk to your team. Tell them, hey guys, I'm 300 gold for my BKB. Can we try to avoid fights until I get BKB? That's a good way to take fights. It's a good way to coordinate fights. It's a good way to look at Dota. It's a good way to just make things happen, right? And as a result, now he can approach this fight and have, a BKB. It's really that simple. He's actually getting kited pretty hard here. They're a bit afraid to fight as their Morphling's not showing up, and I think they were okay with just letting the Chen be the only casualty. But really, keep that in mind. Talk about your item timings, right? This Morphling, also, he could be like, hey guys, I'm close to my Ethereal Blade. Hey, let's go fight. You know, once I got my Ethereal Blade, let's go fight. Next thing I want to talk about is this crazy important idea of kiting backwards, guys. What does that mean? Kiting backwards is one of the most important and effective ways to catch your opponents out and get them killed, right? How do you bait people in? How do you make even pros look foolish, right? And we're going to see that here. So we're going to watch from the perspective of the Sand King, right? Sand King is a hero that naturally loves clumped up heroes. And how does Vici actually manage to get the Sand King a good stun opportunity? Well, first off, Yang doesn't force it, right? There's a pretty clear two-man stun here. Why doesn't he go for it, guys? I want to ask you that question, because this is actually really important and something I don't do too much, so I'm going to do it here. Why doesn't he go for the stun? It's a clear two-man stun. They could follow it up with like a Leshrac stun, right? Yeah, they could. So why don't they? I have to ask you that question. Why don't they? Well, they don't have enough mana on Leshrac, and they would rather get to a position where they can reset and determine their target as a team, right? They can ping someone out or communicate over mic, because obviously they're at a major. Just look at the kiting back. See how everyone runs back together? Now, will this happen in your pub match? No, but you can tell everyone to run backwards. And it should be something you're doing naturally, right? If you're a core player and you're a safe laner or the strongest hero on your team, very often you actually dictate the pace of your team's movements. As a support, you have to be communicating it. As a core, you have to be, you know, doing it, showing it, actively being the example of the person who's backing up, not overextending. The more you overextend as a core, the more your supports will overextend, the more your team dies, right? They even waveform out. Really good protection from the Morphling to actually push the Slark away. But then we see here, easy money ulti, they kite it out. And as a result, I mean, you could see it coming from a mile away. Bang. Huge ulti, huge sandstorm, they get shredded. And that's kind of what happens. You might be like, well, how could pros fall for this if this is what you're supposed to do? It's hard to see it, right? I mean, they want to chase, but they have to chase into this small area. They kite them into a funneled area. And as a result, I mean, obviously it's just easy money. Right? Boom. Shadow Demon. Sand King. Combo. Big money. Slark getting kited out. I mean, like, just a really brilliant execution. And I want to show that to you guys because I think that's a big sign of good teamwork that a lot of players just, I'm not going to say will never get to, because you should be striving to get to that point at least by yourself, like your ability to kite out in fights, not kite in. A lot of people get this wrong. They kite in, you want to kite out 9 times out of 10. Always, not necessarily. It also depends on your heroes, but more often than not, you want to be kiting out and kind of looking for opportunities to pounce rather than just being that psychopath who continues to run in over and over and over and over and over again. And now to end off the video, thank you guys for staying with me if you did. I appreciate it. And how do they actually end the game, right? This game ends at 32 minutes. How do they do it? Right, let's just check it out. I mean, first things first, I just want to show the style. I mean, this is what we call creativity, and beautiful, Dota, beautiful. Right, little bit of a toss play back. Woohoo! I wish my cores did that. I'm kidding. I love my cores. But regardless, once again, they're taking fights on their side of the map as much as possible. You notice Vici is barely taking any fights on the enemy side of the map, which I think is very weird. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a big win for them because it's much easier to take fights on your side of the map because it's easier to ward it, especially preemptively. Obviously, you can also get better TPs, shrines, etc. But yeah, let's check out this last fight because this is the game-ending fight. I mean, really good stun, obviously. Good stun on the backline. Great coordination to follow it up. They get a little bit of a burst onto the Invoker. Slark goes down as well. And that's about all. So if you're a core player, you want to look for these big money plays. Why is this a big money play? Well, he had an Invis rune, and the reason why it's okay to make this play is for one reason and one reason only. The enemy team, they have burst damage with the Tiny. By all means, they do. Also, I really like this Glimmer on Tiny. But the thing is, right, they might have some burst damage, right, from the Tiny, but they already know Tiny committed. And then the second half to this is that the enemy team, like, they can't really burst him as long as he has BKB, which he actually didn't, which makes, okay, he has a Yules. But those plays, I just love seeing that. I think it's what people don't really look for in pubs, like these big plays to just take over the team fight for their team. Often what I see from players is just like, every team fight is just so static. Things look static. There's no big plays. There's no big opportunities. You got to learn how to become the big player, right? And what I mean by that is consistency is the first half to that. You want to become consistent and make sure you're hitting your spells. And then once you can do that, right, once you can make sure you're hitting all your spells, the second half to actually improving in that regard is looking for big opportunities and multi-man, you know, either stuns, combos, bursting someone, you know, getting on top of the support, even solo smoking. That's something I've done in plenty solo queue games, especially if I'm playing like a Leshrac, or I used to play a lot of Monkey King for some period of time, even Nature's Prophet, right? Like, these were heroes where I could just like look for big plays, and if you start off the fight on a good note, everything is just so much easier, right? No matter what pickoff you get, if it's a multi-mat stun, just a pickoff onto a 5, a 4, these are the big plays that you need to be starting to make or looking to make if you want to gain MMR and just, be a player that's better than your bracket. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed and are looking forward to see VP do well in this tournament, like I expect them to do, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. So yeah, if you want to see more tournament stuff, let me know in the comment section down below, because I'm excited to do it if you want to see it, and I'll see you in the next. I keep saying that. Bye.
Are you tired of being hard stuck at your rank? Over at gameleap.com, we have a library of hundreds of guides authored by pro players and coaches covering literally every aspect of Dota. Whether you're looking to master a new hero or role, or just polish up your existing skills, GameLeap is the proven place for competitive gamers to hone their craft and unlock their secret potential. Hit the link on screen right now, to take advantage of our special offer for a 25% discount, guys, 25%, and start your journey today.